Hello, and welcome to today's video. Today, we are covering Titan's Tactical Nuke, aka the Consecration aspect here on Solar Titan 3.0. This aspect is way underrated. You have to learn how to use it, but holy crap, this thing is nuts once you build into it. Consecration is a new aspect here on Solar 3.0 that changes the behavior of your melee. The way it changes the behavior of your melee is when you slide, you can then press your powered melee when it's fully charged. You will then start an uppercut that sends a wave of solar across the ground. While airborne, you can press your powered melee button again to spend the full cost of your melee to slam to the ground and cause a second scorching wave across the ground. And if anything didn't die to your first scorching wave, they will then ignite and die shortly after. This melee is incredibly underrated as an aspect, and once you build in with the exotic we're using today, you effectively have all three aspects on demand. Now, with that being said, let's hop into today's build. Alright, let's hop into the build. Alright, so first up, the subclass. We're here on Solar 3.0. Yes, I am using Burning Maul post buff. It is very definitely worth running now over regular hammers, in my opinion. It is now the best total damage super that isn't a insta use. And so because of that, I now think Burning Maul is the best choice here instead of regular hammers, because you're on a 2-minute shorter base cooldown, so that it becomes a better super for me. I'm on Rally Barricade because I'm going to be on Loreley Splendor, and Rally Barricade lets you shoot after you pop your sunspot, and I also have really started to like the extra reload speed you get from proccing a Rally Barricade. I'm on Catapult Lift because I prefer Catapult Lift as my jump. We are going to be using Throwing Hammer. This is going to let you keep up your stacks of Roaring Flames in case you don't want to use the Consecration melee. This will also give you a little bit of health in case you use the hammer and need to pick it back up. And this will let you insta-kill one ad if you need to delete one enemy while you have Roaring Flames up. And then I'm using Thermite Grenade, though if you prefer fusions or the now fixed solar grenades, use any of those if you wish. I do recommend a lethal grenade here, though, not the healing grenade. You want to be able to use your grenade as a way of killing stuff, and we're going to have plenty of healing on this build. Do not worry. For our aspects, we're going to be using the new Consecration melee, which I went over what it does at the beginning of the video. And then we're also going to be using Roaring Flames. For those who don't remember what Roaring Flames does, final blows with solar abilities or solar ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities stacks up to 3 times, and this buff lasts for 20 seconds and can be refreshed at any time. While Roaring Flames is active, you also have the ability for a uncharged melee to scorch targets. Now, this applies 30 stacks of Scorch to any target you punch. For our fragments, we're going to be using Ember of Char. Solar Ignitions spread Scorch to affected targets and also grants us 10 extra discipline. Ember of Ashes. This is going to allow you to apply more stacks of Scorch when you apply Scorch. We're going to be running Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets is going to grant us melee energy. This is going to work really well with our primary, with our aspects, and with everything we're running here. And then also we're running Ember of Torches. This is just to give us Radiant because #Radiant is broken. Alright, on to the armor. Yes, we're going to be running Loreley Splendor. It does work while on solar and not running sunspots. And in fact, if you proc it, it will give you the Sol Invictus ability regeneration buff. So it is very much so worth running, and it will give you the regeneration part of the helmet regardless. While on the helmet, we're going to be running a copy of Ash's Assets, though if you wanted to switch this to the Arc one, which is hands-on, if you wanted to switch to hands-on instead and switch this to Arc, you could. However, that does mean you would have to run some different mods and put your mods in a couple different places overall. We are running Bountiful Wells here, and a harmonic siphon to go with our energy weapon, which is going to be a very important part of the build for total ability spam. On to the gloves. Our gloves here are on stasis. If they're masterworked, they'll have plenty of space for any champion mod you want. If you want to use this build with champions, this bond is just fine with champion activities. And then a melee well maker to generate solar elemental wells on melee final blows. Over to the chest piece. The chest piece is going to be on arc. Most chest pieces this season for my builds are going to be on arc, so get used to seeing them on arc. And because of this allows us to run all 3 resists and lets our chest piece just be ready to go. And then we're running an elemental ordnance and a small resilience mod to get that resilience to that magical 100 number. For our boots are going to be on solar. This is for Well of Life and recuperation. Well of Life is going to give us extra healing, and now with how little damage you're taking with 100 resil or high resil in general, Well of Life feels really good actually, and really helps you keep your health regeneration up for a long period of time. And then I have a recovery mod because I wanted to make sure I played at least 70 recovery for a personal preference. And then lastly, over to our class item. Our class item has a utility kickstart, and then whenever they fix Molten Overload, you can run it in champion activities and always have a solar stun. While Molten Overload is bugged though, you can just run it double utility kickstart and you will pretty much always have your barricade when you need it. If you do prefer to run Bomber or the melee one, which I believe is called Outreach, you can go ahead and switch this to solar or arc just fine, because the melee well maker will not be a problem on either of those. Last thing to note for the build, I highly recommend an incandescent weapon, especially the Drang or the Callus mini tool. The Drang specifically because it can roll Wellspring and incandescent, but specifically the Drang or the Callus mini tool because of 2XS. You're not going to be running your super that often because you're going to be using your super as a boss DPS tool using Burning Maul. And therefore, you're going to get the bonus to strength and discipline up a lot here on the origin trait. And so I highly recommend it. Also, the Scorch Tax here from Incandescent directly work with your subclass here. And since we are running Ember of Searing, defeating scorched targets grants melee energy, you're going to really be able to keep your melee up a lot if you're running a incandescent and you're running a 2XS weapon. So I highly recommend you put those things together. It will really help with your ability regeneration as a whole, and you'll be able to really spam this melee as you'll see in the gameplay. All right, that is it for the build today. Nice, quick, short, easy build. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope everyone has enjoyed this build. This build is really fun and quite strong actually. And I think it will be viable in most endgame content. I don't know if Solar Titan yet is still going to be viable in GMs. We'll see when we get there, but this build is really good for right now. We don't have GMs active in the game. So if you're running this build in Master or Legend content, I would say it's just fine. And is a good overall Solar Titan build. With that being said, I hope everyone has enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like on this video and subscribing to the channel for more videos just like this one, especially if you're a Titan main. Thank you everyone, I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye.